Let's go ahead and get started. Tonight we have Greater Naples Officials Association back with us again. Dealing with the sticks is the topic for tonight. Please remember the chat box is open. Q&A is also open for any questions throughout the session. Fred Wass is going to be monitoring that. We also have Shannon McVie, Larry Rorda, and Rob Mackett with us here again tonight. So without further ado, I will turn it over to them. Gentlemen.
You're on mute, Larry.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to start this off. I'm Larry Rorda. I just really enjoy officiating high school football. And quite a while ago, I used to be a linesman, and that was my position. I enjoyed working with the chain crews, working the sidelines, and really enjoyed it a lot. I gravitated ultimately towards the referee position, and that's where I've been for quite a while. And so I know the linesman position, but I know the referee position. And today we're going to have a really good linesman talking about, dealing with the sticks. You've got these lockdown defensive backs that you can trust to take on that toughest wider receiver out there. Well, when you have a lockdown linesman, the crew just really works well. It really and truly does. When you're not going to have to deal with the coach, you're not going to have to deal with the wideouts. The guys are going to be on the line of scrimmage correctly. Forward progress is going to be handled, and the sticks are going to be okay. I mean, that's a lockdown, and it makes the referee's job so much easier. Well, tonight we've got Shannon McVie, who is that guy. He's that lockdown linesman, and Shannon's going to share with us dealing with the sticks. Here you go, Shannon.
All right, thanks, Larry. And welcome, everyone, and thank you for having us. This is a fantastic opportunity. And we hope that there's questions. I know for some of you, this is going to be probably pretty basic. For others, this might be the first time you're really learning the linesman position. But I can tell you from all the positions on the football field, I personally feel that the linesman is probably the most difficult, but most enjoyable as well, because you really get to have your personality come out, and we'll get into a little bit about that in just a little bit. But really two things that I like to kind of go by in whether it be work, whether it be football officiating. When I was a basketball coach, do not worry about those things you cannot control. We used to say this all the time to people who would just stress all the time. And in football officiating, there are things that we can't control, and we'll get into that. But you want to worry about those things you can. And then failing to prepare is preparing to fail. You have to get ready before the season, during the season. I was a basketball coach here, a local high school coach, for total of approximately 18 years. I've officiated during that time, before that time, and after that time. I've loved officiating. But I think the coaching has really assisted in my officiating because you really get to know what the coaches put into their craft, how much time and energy they do, and it really helps you to appreciate a little bit of the stressors that they may be bringing to the field on a Friday night. So let's talk about the controllables. And the controllables in football are really pretty simple, okay? Number one, know the rules, know the mechanics. You want to know these things inside and out. The knowledge that you have on these rules, it instills internal confidence and external confidence. Meaning, if I know the rules, coaches can get on me, coaches can yell at me, coaches can say we're idiots, but ultimately when the day is done, we know we're right on the rule. And we oftentimes know when they're wrong. A perfect example is when they're all screaming, uncatchable, uncatchable, uncatchable. Well, we as high school officials know there is no such thing. So in your mind, you're saying, you know what? I know this rule. I know I'm right. There's no need to be even upset about it. So know the rules inside and out. If you do that, you're going to be able to be that assistant to your referee to be sure that you're communicating with the coach and there's nothing really that will get by you. The next thing you can control is being physically and you're basically being physically and psychologically prepared for your assignment. Okay, what this means is before the season starts, you need to start getting yourself ready. You have to start exercising. Many of us are not the athletes we may have believed ourselves to once be. So we have to stretch. We have to do things in the preseason, lose weight, do the various things to get you physically ready for a season. How many of our associations late in the season do we have guys breaking down because we didn't physically get ready in the preseason? The second part of it, I think, is very, very important. And this is what we're dealing with on a Friday night, getting psychologically prepared for your assignment. We come in from a busy day at work, a stressful day at work. Maybe we had problems at home. Maybe our kids are having issues, but we want to take some time for ourselves. I mean, let's face it, when we go officiate on a Friday night, this is our time. This is our time away from the family, away from the requirements of the job, the end of the week. We're sitting here saying, this is our time, so I'm going to get my mind right, okay? We need to be in a position where we can have some downtime to decompress, to get the mind right for the game. One thing that I find works really well, and regardless of your activity, but for football officiating, I think it's very critical, is visualization. Visualize yourself on the football field with the various circumstances that are going to occur that day. I'm going to line up for my pregame. What am I going to do? And I'm going to visualize myself being successful. I'm going to visualize myself on a kickoff. Where am I going to be? What am I going to look for? You'll be amazed when you start visualizing what happens. You'll start saying, oh, wait, I don't know where I'm supposed to go on this. I better ask somebody in pregame, because if I don't know, maybe someone else doesn't. Okay. So visualize your game. Okay. That doesn't mean anticipate, that you're going to be throwing crazy flags all night, but you're visualizing and having the game come to you before you even start. Okay. Go through play types in your mind. What am I going to do to successfully call those? Okay. Leave your preconceived ideas, negative ideas about how your night's going to go behind. I mean, let's face it. We show up at a field. We know there are certain coaches, they're out of their minds, that don't have any idea about the rules, and they're going to be on us all night long. But you know what? That was last Friday night. Maybe they won't be that way this Friday night. Okay. Or maybe it's 2 weeks away from the last time you had them, and they went out of town the previous week, and they think they got it even worse than when you were on their sideline. Flush it and start the game all over with. Okay. Don't create a negative self-fulfilling prophecy for yourself for that game, because it might surprise you. Okay. Remember, ultimately, in psychologically preparing for the game, this is a game to be played. Okay. Have fun with it. Make sure it's fun. Okay. If it's not fun for you, it's time to get out. It really is that simple. Okay. And if you're one of those partners where it's not fun for your partners, well, then it's also time for you to get out. Okay. Third, be self-aware. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses. We all have them, but be prepared to utilize those strengths and improve on your weaknesses. If you know you're weak on something, see who on your crew has that strength and play off of that person. Talk to them, work through it. Okay. Some of us are very outgoing. Some of us have, can use humor in an appropriate time. Others can't. It'll fall flat. And you have to know those strengths and know those weaknesses. Okay. The uncontrollables. These are the ones that we look at and say, okay, we can't control it. We got to just deal with it. Just because something is uncontrollable doesn't mean it's unmanageable. We can still manage the uncontrollables, and that's what a good official does. Number one, uncontrollable, game assignments. How many times have we shown up at that game and it's the 1A game or the 2A game, and it's teams that don't have bands, and it's not a very great atmosphere. And we're sitting there in pregame saying, yeah, I can't believe the assigner gave the crosstown rivalry to the other crew. Well, your mind is wrong. That game you're working is the most important game to be played that night by the players, coaches, schools, and fans. They don't care about that crosstown game. They worked hard all week long to get ready for this one. So know that your game assignments, you're not going to control it. but you can manage your ability to handle it and have a blast doing it. And if you do that, you're going to be a great official that night. Okay. The second, I'm sorry, let me come back. The second issue that we have is your officiating team for that game. There's going to be times that you're working with a crew that you sit there and think, oh my goodness, this crew is horrible. Or this guy on our field, I mean, and I'm not speaking out of turn here. We all have them in our association. The guys who won't shut up in the locker room before a game, that just talk, and drive you crazy. Okay, you know that, but you got to get yourself ready and overcome it. That's the game within the game. How am I going to deal with this? Okay, game management. We've many times been to schools where the game management is better. Some schools better than others. Some they give you water, some they don't. Some give you food, some don't. You just have to recognize, I can't control whether they do it or not, but I control my reaction to it. Okay. The next thing we talk about is coaches. Okay. The coaches, don't try to control the coaches. It's not going to work and you're going to stress out trying. Why? Rather manage them within the rules and the feel for the game. Know that feel, know that coach, know that sideline, know who you can go to communicate what you need to be sure they're complying with what you need to do. Now, let's face it, we've all done it and everybody does it differently. You're always, every season, you're going to have a game that blows up. You just know it, no matter what you try to do, but you just keep working, keep grinding to try to give them the best game you can. Okay. Remember that no matter how much training and preparing we do as officials, and I really, I'm encouraged to see as many people as are involved in this training, but no matter how much time we spend, it's only a fraction of the time that the coaches are spending in their roles. Remember that, okay? I'm telling you, as high school officials, there is no way we can ever come near the amount of time these coaches are putting in. Some of them, these coaching jobs are tied to their very professions, and we have to recognize that. We have to appreciate that difference, and we have to de-escalate these situations whenever we can, okay? If you cannot de-escalate because it's just, they're just not hearing it, well, the rules are there to enforce at that point. You give them the opportunity, and then if necessary, you penalize as appropriate. Okay, I believe the state has indicated their desire to stand behind the officials when we're right, and just make sure that, like we say, call the obvious. If everybody in the stadium knows it's time that they go, well, they got to go. Okay, but that should be very rare. And finally, another uncontrollable is the chain crew, and that's what we're kind of here to talk about. The chain crew, we all know, can vary from place to place. We as a linesman, that's going to be one of our big challenges for the night. Okay. Role of the linesman. When I go out on a field as a linesman, I view who is my referee? Who do I have that night? There are some referees that it's all about them. We know them. Okay. It's all about them. And you just gotta know and recognize it. Again, the game within the game. We have other referees who are just maybe learning and maybe not have the self-confidence that you as a linesman are going to help instill and help him along or through the ball game. You're going to understand what are our strengths and the weaknesses, okay, of the referee and other members of the crew, okay? How will you adjust your game tonight to help the overall crew be the best it can be? If you have, I think one of the most fun things you can do in officiating is to try to be consistent as an official, but you know you've taken the next step when you're consistent as a crew. When you can mold your game to fit the crew that you're working with, that's when this really becomes fun. As a linesman, you have multiple roles. You got to be a mediator. You got to de-escalate conflict whenever possible. You got to be a mathematician. You need to be able to count to 4. Okay. Sometimes you may even need to be able to subtract. All right, for yards a game. You have the teacher. You have to teach. Okay, you have to tutor. Sometimes a little help to the coach and to the player will help go a long way. You have to be a counselor and a therapist. We know this for our own partners. How many times have we gone in the middle of the field and the white hat is literally melting down? And you have to kind of counsel them. You have to be their therapist and say, okay, we're going to be all right. You know, this is a clock that's going to run out at some point tonight, so we'll be okay. You're going to have to counsel, and you're going to have to provide therapy for your coaches, your players. Okay. Look, I was a criminal defense lawyer for 27 years. There were many, many times that you're counseling players out on the field, much like I would do in my very office. Okay. And then sometimes you just have to judge. You got to make a decision, and you got to take action, and you have to do it decisively. And if you've done all the other aspects of the game and you've taken all those other roles, when it does become time for you to judge and to make a decisive taking action, everybody in the place is going to know it. And they're going to say, you know what? He gave him every shot to do something, and the guy just wouldn't listen. Okay. So Larry, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, Shannon, when we're talking about that, the referee really needs to know the linesman as well. I mean, the linesman's checking out who the referee is, but the referee needs to know the strengths and weaknesses of the linesman. And if you're going to run a good crew, you need to know how strong that linesman is. When is he going to need help with that coach, or will he not need it the entire night? When I'm working with Shannon, I'm best to stay away from the sideline because I know he's got it locked down. When I'm working with a first, second year guy, I'm going to have to spend more time over there assisting him, and so that the game is going to go smoothly. So the referees know the strengths and weaknesses of your linesman.
All right. Okay. Before the game on the field. Okay. This is just basic stuff. Okay. We're coming out of the locker room. We're going to go check those, stretch those chains, see if there's any problems. We're going to check to see if the yard markers are 10 yards apart. We're going to see if the field is mismarked. I always kind of laugh when I do this, because as we're doing it, I sit there and think, okay, it looks short. The lines look wrong. So what? What are we going to do? We're not playing the game. So we're going to go talk to the coaches. We're going to talk to our partners. We're going to explain to them that, hey, the field's mismarked, or the field is short, or the yard marker is 9.5 yards versus the 10. You may have to report that to the school following the game and say, hey, we got to get that changed for next Friday. But ultimately, when the day is done, that's just one of those uncontrollables that you say, okay, let's deal with it. Let's deal with it. Okay. Attach a zip tie or tape to the middle of the chain. I prefer the zip tie because it's easier to see, especially as I get older. With a little glance, you can see the colored zip tie to mark that 5-yard zone. So hey, I've got 2nd and 4. So if someone jumps off sides, we know we're going to have a first down. We don't have to go and talk about, is it going to be close or what have you. Okay. Be sure the down marker actually is in workable condition. How many places have we gone to that it won't switch, it won't change, or a number is missing? That can happen. So just be prepared to address that. Be sure to know that your clip person, ask your clip person, how many times I've gone to games and the clip is still there from the previous weeks, because we're not asking to get it before the game ends. Ask your clip person, hand it to me when there's about a minute to go. I'll remember where we were if we needed to come back. And then know where your sideline, where your team is going to go before the game and at halftime. So if you have to go get them, you know where they're at. Check with your back judge. Make sure that we know who our ball boys are. Meet them as well. Okay. Then I talk about getting a few snaps on a team's line of scrimmage. This is a great opportunity to communicate with the wideouts how you're going to communicate through the game, how you want them to look to you if they're looking to be told they're on the line, off the line. And then introduce yourself to the coaching staff. It doesn't just have to be the head coach. If a coach walks by and says hello, say hello. Okay. They can be your allies on the sideline to assist you in controlling that sideline where it's necessary. Okay. Larry, did you have anything to jump in and talk about that?
Yeah, before on the field there, before the game, as a referee, I think that's a good opportunity to create a little bit of rapport with the chain crew, because it's going to be the only time that I'm really going to get a chance for that first half. So I'm, as a referee, going to get over there, and what I want to do is I want to make sure that they feel like part of the team. And if I talk down to them, and just treat them like crud, they're not going to have any fun. They're going to be antagonistic towards me. They're not going to have a good rapport. We're going to have a more difficult time. So I like to break the ice a little bit, let them know how many mistakes I've made over the years. I usually, if I have a a reasonable linesman over there, I'll tell them, something funny about the linesman so they can bust his chops when he gets over there. And I want them to feel like they're part of the officiating crew, which they really are. And I want to make sure that they know that I'm coming out here not to talk down to them, but be part of their team. So that's what I'm going to be doing as a referee.
All right,
Great.
thank you.
Gentlemen, just we do have a question that I'd like to just, before we go on to this slide that we see here, Shannon. This question is from James Merrill, and he asks, if the tie is wrong, or if there are multiple ties, what do you do?
If the zip tie is placed in the wrong place?
The zip tie is wrong. Yeah, if the zip tie is wrong or there are multiple zip ties, what do you do?
I typically will go to the trainer. I'll ask for their scissors and I'll just come cut it off, cut off the wrong ones, and then put it at the right spot.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
And just to I'll take this as an opportunity to remind everybody that if you do have questions, use that Q&A feature and we will answer them live here. All right. Thank you.
All right. We're gonna do a poll here. Okay. And what we're going to do is, Fred, you can go ahead and put it up, Fred, and I'll read it to them and they'll see it as well. We've all seen these three types of chain crews, right? We've seen the chain crew that, hey, we've done this since football was invented, chain crew. Okay, there's nothing you can tell them that they don't know. The second type of chain crew we've seen is, we can't believe we have to do this ridiculous chore chain crew. They're the ones that are watching their phones the whole time and they're being begged to do this. They're normally our Thursday night crews, right? But we do get them in the Friday nights. And then we have the thanks. We didn't want to sit in the stands with the crazies chain crew who really just love the game of football and they want to be there and assist with the chain crew and not be doing that. But they oftentimes too can be the cheerleaders that are on there. So our poll tonight is, what type of chain crews do you typically work with on Friday nights? And we'd be real interested to hear what everybody has to say. So if you can go ahead and answer the poll and submit that back, we'll be able to.
That's great, yeah. The votes are coming in fast and furious, so we're gonna give it another 5 seconds or so for everybody to vote, and then we'll share the results with everybody right here. Okay, I'm gonna stop the poll now. And here are the results, gentlemen. Drum roll, please.
Wow, pretty even. Pretty even. So we've done this since football was invented. That's the 56%. We've got the thanks for the 30%. Thanks, we didn't want to sit in the stands with the crazies. And then we only got the 20% of the ridiculous chore. I think I probably, that's pretty well right along the lines of what I would expect us to see throughout a season. But each of these type of chain crews bring a challenge to us that we have to deal with. And there's a way to do it, okay? In my opinion. And again, remember, this is our opinion on things. Each association does it differently. I started in the West Coast Football Officials Association when I was in college in the 80s. They used to have us as the chain crew on Friday nights was the JV officials, the new officials. We used to go out and do the box and the chains and learned a ton doing that. Then I went up to the Big Bend Football Association when I was in law school and worked there. And they did things even a little differently. So you'll learn wherever you go. Nothing is absolutely right. Nothing is absolutely wrong. There's a lot of gray in this, okay? So this is where we need as linemen to be self-aware and be aware of who you're dealing with, okay? We're gonna have to create a professional rapport with each member of the chain crew. The way I like to do this is I like to write their names on a game card, first names, if necessary, if I don't remember them. And frankly, from the time I get introduced to the time I get done getting ready for the game, meeting the ball boys, there's times I forget it. So I'll start writing their names on the game card so I can, talk to them by name to say, hey, box, come here, chain. That's disrespectful to adults. They don't want to be referred like that. We want to do that, okay? Don't, or be humble. This is something that I think we as officials sometimes lose a little sight of. We go out there on a Friday night, we're in our stripes. Some of us are looking better than others. And I'm not speaking directly to Rob Mackett on that, but of course that does happen, okay? So it's one of these things that we want to be humble, okay? And recognize that these people here are making your job easier tonight if you have a rapport with them, okay? Don't preach to the chain crew. They're adults. Treat them as adults. If they're students, it gives you an opportunity to respect them, give them a respect that maybe they're not getting on a normal day from other adults. So they feel good about their role tonight. They know what they've done, okay? When you're out there, you're not going to preach to them. Let them discover and communicate with you what they need tonight to help make this game better, okay? This is where you can ask questions. You can lay things out for them, okay? I like to use the phrase facilitate rather than dictate. Let them believe they're taking you where you want them to go, okay? And if you do that, you're going to have a great night, okay? Talk to them, and my approach is normally this. I'll go out there to the chain crew, and I'll have a casual conversation after we have introductions. Thank them. Hey, thanks for being here tonight. I'm excited to be here. This is great. This is the best ball game of the night. Or both teams have really shown improvement, or both teams are really hungry for a win tonight. This is going to be a great one, okay? Get them juiced up about because you are, okay? You wouldn't rather be anyplace else. In covering the areas of most concern to you, right? We're concerned about them moving the chains too early. That gets us in trouble. Moving the chains too slowly. That gets us in trouble. Cheerleading from the chains. That gets us in trouble, okay? Not being far enough off the field. That's a danger. Complaining in any way about calls. We've all had those guys do that, right? What I normally will do is I won't come over there and say, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. That doesn't seem to have a real good flow. Instead, I will discuss real or imagined problems I've had in the past. And when I say imagined problems, I'm making up a story. Hey, last week, guys, I worked this chain crew, and he had the thing right behind me, and I tripped. Man, I really need you, if you can help me out, because I'm old, I don't recover well. We stay at least 2 yards off the field. And if you see that the other guys are move us back, okay? Or you wouldn't believe, guys, 2 weeks ago, the guy started cheering for his team in the coaching box, and the coaches squared off with the chain crew. We can't have that. I mean, that's dangerous. You guys you're part of our team. Please, remember that. And if they're giving you a problem, let me know. But you're not going to cheer, so it's no problem. We're going to be good, okay? These are the type of things that whether it's actually happened in a game of yours or you've made it up. What you're doing is you're giving them a story that they can relate to say, well, we're better than that. We wouldn't do that. And they won't do that night if you ask it in a positive way, okay?
And then we've got a couple of questions here.
Sure.
So first, Mauro Bermudez has asked the question, how do you deal with an uncooperative chain crew member who refuses to work with you?
Well, and that's where what I've done, and I have had this happen. I simply walk out to, I calmly stop the clock. I'll walk out and talk to my white hat, first of all, because what the white hat's doing is he's going to say, well, Shannon, you're being ridiculous. Let's just get out of here. Okay, suck it up. Or he might say, well, what do you want to do? I'm going to say, I want to run them. I want to run them. I don't want them over there anymore. It's time to go. And what happens then is the white hat will go over to the game administration and say, we need someone else for the chain crew, or the head coach if you need to. We need someone else for the chain crew. You don't want to create a scene. You just simply pass it off to game administration, and we won't be starting until we have a new person at the chain crew. Boom.
Great.
And they're
Thank
gone.
you.
Okay.
One other question, Shannon, for you before we go on, from Brian Wild. Do you try to get a backup set of chains or down box?
I don't. I've got enough to worry about than to worry about that. Obviously, in a perfect situation, that'd be great. But in most of these schools, they don't have a backup unless you're going to carry it in your car yourself, or even, I know some guys that will carry their own ball deflator. So they'll deflate the footballs before a football game. So it's one of those things that to me, I wouldn't do it.
Great. Thank you very much. No more questions at the moment.
All right.
Sorry. My apologies. I do have one while we're talking about this one. So from Rick Lines, just a good suggestion. Tell the crew to absolutely stay off their phones. The opposition will assume that they are relaying communication to the home team or something like that. So I think that's a good point, Rick, and well taken.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And finally, the last thing I'll say on this before we move on is ask the chain crew any weird things they've seen. And they'll give you some good information, and they'll give you some good information sometimes about your own association that might be doing things a little inconsistently that you can address at your next meeting. So that way you're all on the same page. Okay. All right. Next slide we've got mechanical issues. Okay, safety first. Keep those boxes and chains 2 yards off the sideline. Yes, it could affect. Is it a perfect lineup with your clip? Maybe not, but you need to make sure that you're as close as you can. But remember, safety is first. Okay, necessity for the box person to be your guy. That box person can make your night so much easier if you have a good relationship with them and you make them a part of the team. You're having them assist you with verbal pronouncements of down and distance. I like to include them. I say, hey, listen, rather than me turn around all the time, okay, will you just tell me every play, hey, 2nd and 6, Shannon, 2nd and 6. Okay, good, I got it. All right, we're 3rd and 4. And if you get a chain crew that can start doing that, number one, they're not cheerleading at all anymore. And they're focused on being part of your team. And I'll just nod my head to them. I got you. I heard you. Thank you. Okay. So make that person your person. Okay. And then discuss with the chain crew where you want them before opening kickoff. Obviously, my feeling is they should be, if you're going to be on a 30-yard line, they should be on near you on the 30, but outside of the coaching box. So they're not in the way. All right. Moving the chains.
Larry, I've got a question for you, from Chris Poole. As a referee, if you do see somebody on their phone, on the chain crew, would you think that it's too aggressive to explain to the person to say, hey, I need you to pay attention to what's going on. You can either talk on the phone or work the chains, but you can't do both.
I don't think it would be too aggressive, but I wouldn't stop the flow of the game to do that. That's not going to be my primary concern. So if at a break it is an appropriate time, I would go over there quietly and not boisterously and suggest that he needs to put that away. And just because of the reason it looks bad, it doesn't help us, and we can't have that. So that's what I would do. And if they wouldn't stop it and was persisting, was affecting the game, and I'd have him replaced, but I doubt that it would get to that point. Great,
thank you. Okay, Shannon, go ahead.
Be sure your referee knows the first name of your box person, so the referee can also be respectful to him. If I'm downfield on a long pass play and I've got forward progress and it's going to be a first down, Larry can look over and hey Bob, let's go, we're good, first down, and it really makes him, because we're going to talk in pregame about, hey, look to the referee. If I'm downfield, make sure you look to the referee. And I give my box guy, my chain crew, I tell him, please scan that field before you move, because we all might have missed a flag. And if we missed a flag, you're going to be our crew saver today. You just stay still and then just point out to the field at that flag and we'll be in good shape. Okay. So be quick, but don't hurry. Okay. In moving the chains, we want to be efficient with the box and the chains, but we also need to be aware of the capabilities of the chain crew. We see this now a lot, right, with our 45-second clock, wherein the schools that want to run a 45-second clock and run a quick, fast-paced offense, they need to kind of address it in game management of getting a quicker chain crew. Okay, and as the referee, he's going to be aware. You know what, the chain crew's not there yet, but as long as the box is there and you have a good game awareness, you're going to be able to move on pretty well. Prevent your box man from changing the down too soon. How many times have we had that issue where we'll have a dive play on second down and the guy's already switched it to third, but then we had a flag that maybe we all didn't see, and now we're all trying to figure out, were we on second down, were we on third? Yes, we've got our indicators, but still we'd like to be consistent and not be pulling things back as much as possible. Okay, let your referee move you by signaling the first down. Okay, look to them and come through. Anticipate and prevent the chain crew from moving too quickly. These are all just basic issues that we have with our chain crews. Okay. Measurement. So I think
the referee can help you with that, Shannon, on a lot of that, particularly long pass plays and punt plays. The wing officials are going to be downfield on those, particularly with the 5-man crew. And if that linesman is downfield on a punt play or on a long pass play, the referee is still back at the line of scrimmage, and he doesn't need to go hustle downfield. He should be checking that referee should be checking that box where it's located, and then making sure that the field is clear of flags and that we are indeed going to move it, and then go ahead and point to the linesman, go ahead, let's move them. And I think that if you do that every time and your linesman gets used to you doing it every time, it'll work. If you don't do it every time, they're just going to move them, and then you've got problems. But if you as a referee will insist upon doing that, it's going to help your crew out a great deal.
All right, thank you. Measurements. Measurements get a little hairy for us over there at the sideline, right? Because now we're going to have to take these guys out onto the field and we're going to stretch the chains. I suggest, it's when I'm white hatting, I typically will suggest to our crew, if we know we're going to have a tight ball game, let's get a measurement early in the game somewhere. Let's get one, because late in the game when it's really, really mattered, it'd be real nice that we're polished and we're not coming out there for the first time doing something with maybe a new crew of guys that are out there that aren't working as a unit, and it looks messed up. So in this, we're going to put the box on the line to gain. Okay. We're going to be sure our clip is on the proper yard marker. Okay. And the proper yard marker is always should be set up on the furthest line from the line to gain. Okay. So we have to extend the chain as long as possible in order to get a good view. This is controversial not controversial, it's just different. People have different feelings on do you clip it on the middle of the line, the front of the line, the back of the line? I would venture to say it doesn't matter as long as you're consistent and you know where you're having it done. I personally like the middle of the line because that's what I've always done. And the middle of the line, I can put it there and it's pretty clearly done that way. Okay, but that's a personal decision and a decision that you and your crew will discuss. Okay, grab the chain, but not the clip from the line furthest to the line to gain. So if you grab the clip, it might fall off. Okay, grab the chain right next to the clip. You can run with the clip there too if you need to. Jog onto the field and proceed to the line judge's spot, right? They're giving you their foot. Don't cross the ball though. So you're going to come up short of that. Okay, you're going to go down, you're going to put it down on the ground so the line judge can go ahead and step on it. But then have a backup. You're already down there. So just grab the chain behind the line judge's foot. So this way, if the chain slides under him, you've still got it under there and you can get it set again before they put it down and they show, oh my gosh, he was short because it slid, but no, he really wasn't because it shouldn't have been. Okay. So we just look at it from that perspective. Your measurements, if you're short, remember, keep the chain and the clip in your hand, as you may have to spot the ball inside the hash mark. Many times the referee will do that. He'll come in and he'll grab the chain, he'll grab the ball, and they'll move it into the hash mark. Carry the chain and the clip back to the sideline and hold the clip to the back edge, or I put the back edge here, but if you do back edge or middle of the line, 2 yards off the sideline, have the chain stretch. Okay, again, consistently what you want to do. And my feeling is take your time getting that set, because everybody knows now that's next play is critical. So get it right. If they get a first down, head back to the sideline. They're going to have a first down. They can move to the next spot and line up. Okay. Quarter changes. This is something that can make or break you too. And Larry's going to talk to us about this from the referee position. But basically on this, we're going to have our chains steady. Have them stay there. We're not in a hurry. Okay, it's probably best even to let the teams get to where they're going to get. So this way you're not running through teams. You're going to get and you're going to go around them. Record your down and distance, the yard line of the ball location, and be sure the clip is appropriately attached. Confirm the information with your referee. Make sure you're right. Okay, I have here clip the back edge or the middle of the line furthest from the line to gain. Confirm your down and distance and clip the spot with your chain crew. Okay. Swap the sticks, have the person, just swap them. And when you're swapping them, he's just going in front, you're then in the middle and they're coming up behind you. Hold the chain in such a way though, that you're not going to get caught up in your feet and you look silly being, tripping on yourself. Okay. Set the clip, pull the sticks, communicate with the referee that you're all set. Okay, Larry? You're on mute. You're on mute, Larry.
Hate when that happens. Thank you very much. I think that the referee should really get over to the linesman and assist in this. It gives as a check. It works as a check, but it also gives the referee an opportunity to talk to the chain crew, and it works out really well. I always like to go over and write down on my card, 2nd and 12 on the 36 going out. Clip is on the whatever yard line that is, and then I make sure that Shannon's okay. And you can have a little bit of fun. I always ask the box man, which yard line is he on? And they'll figure it out and they'll say, okay, where are you going to go? And if it's the same number, we have a pretty good chance he'll end up there. And they'll laugh and it'll be fun. And so at that point, after that's it, I'll just hustle down to where the ball's going to be snapped and go. But I think if you do that every time, then your linesman is going to be expecting it, and you're not going to find him halfway down the field and then in a problem later. So that's my suggestion from the referee position.
Thank you. All right, administration of penalties, okay? Keep your chains in the box from moving at all. Be certain you have the proper down that was just played, okay? This is where you many times will stand there calmly. Just stand there calmly for a moment and look at the field. Keep your person there. You're going to get the penalty. You're going to advise the court or the court. You're going to advise the coach. Just relax for a moment. See what you've got. You can start thinking about play situation of what you're going to explain, okay? Step away from the sideline to be able to hear and participate in the foul communication to the referee if necessary. Be patient and listen. How many times we've seen other partners come in, who's it on, who's it on, who's it on? Well, relax, we're going to give it to you. And if we don't have it, we'll tell you that too. Okay, so at least the coach is seeing you're trying, but you don't have to get it right now. The most important thing is let the referee get the penalty communicated to him. And let's make sure the referee's kind of getting it right. Maybe starting to walk the right way. Make sure the umpire is here listening. So just relax on that. That's one of the big things you can do. If something doesn't sound right, go talk to your referee about your concerns, okay? We had a defensive pass interference, and we have our referee, that phases out for a minute, and they're saying automatic first down, and you're like, well, no, that was first and 20. We're going to be first and 5 because it was a 15-yard penalty, but it's not an automatic first down. Be ready to explain that to the referee if necessary. Get the head coach the information, okay, regarding the type of foul and the number of the offender. I will tell all of you that are on this call who have not worked the line very much, the worst thing that a linesman oftentimes has to deal with is multiple plays in a row or multiple penalties in a row that we lose numbers. Slow down, get the numbers so we can communicate those to the side of the wing official, because he's the one that's going to have his butt chewed when they get over there and say, well, we don't have a number. Because we didn't have a number to a coach is not that the referee just saw the penalty but just missed the number. It's there was no penalty and you're making this up just to screw me. That's the interpretation. We all know that. So we want to make sure that we get that number, okay? Be prepared to move the sticks, okay? But again, don't be in a hurry. You're going to proceed to the succeeding spot for the enforcement and ensure we have the proper down on the box following the administration of the penalty. Larry, anything to add to that?
Yeah, to help things go smoothly for your referee, I think it's best if you don't ask a lot of questions while he's processing the information or signaling to the stands. So we have headsets now. We have voices in our ears. So if I'm getting questions about the number, what was the number, while I'm signaling and going through my administration of the penalty, that becomes a little bit disconcerting. So I think that if as much communication that can bypass the referee in terms of the number, if he hasn't given it right away, if the referee hasn't given it right away, I think would be helpful. Something I'm trying to get in the habit of is as soon as the foul is reported to me, get the number and then say that on the microphone to everybody. But once I've said that as a referee, I will have lost it. I will have erased that number in my memory. I'm going to know who it's on, which team it's on, and I'll be able to signal that somebody's going to have my back on that number because I'm going to move forward. I think that's probably what I have to add. The rest of it makes really good sense to me.
All right. Well, the whistle, this applies to all of us out there, but the wing officials, this can certainly be a big issue. My very first game that I worked as a JV official, Ken Williamson, who's now a white hat in the SEC, was my referee, and he was my training official. And so I was his mentee, and I have pass interference down the field, defensive pass interference, offensive guy goes up, catches it, goes in for the end zone, into the end zone. I have a flag and I have a whistle. So Ken, being the experienced official that he is, he sees me and my white face as I turned around and lost all color in it. And I look back and all of a sudden I see a flag thrown in the middle for a holding. So we ended up with offsetting penalties, which kind of eliminated my inadvertent whistle. That was experience on his part and lack of on mine. But you learn a lesson. The whistle should not be, you should not work the ball game with the whistle in your mouth. Keep the whistle out of your mouth, okay? Remember, by rule, the play does not end with the whistle unless it perhaps, I mean, there are a few circumstances, but one of which is the inadvertent whistle. Let it out. The play will end. You'll see the ball. You'll see progress stop, then blow the whistle, okay? Be sure to see the ball in player possession when on the ground or when progress is stopped. Do not be afraid to have a game or a play where you don't have a whistle blown. It feels odd, it feels awkward, it feels like you should, but don't do it. If you don't see the ball in player possession, don't blow the whistle, okay? All right, free kicks. I think we're gonna kind of move through this very quickly on free kicks, okay? I'm gonna actually jump to the next screen because the free kick checklist is really what I think is most important for us to cover today in our limited time. And what I'm talking about with a free kick checklist is there's all kinds of things. We know in a football game, all the weird stuff is happening on kick plays, right? And free kicks, there's a lot for us to be thinking about. And so in our mind, from the time the extra point ends or the field goal ends, and we're coming back up the field, we have to be going through a checklist of what we have to be looking for and thinking about. We're going to have to count the receiving players from the 30-yard line. We're going to have our beanbag in our hand in case we have a first touching situation. That from the 30, we probably on a free kick won't have a first touching because we're well beyond that 10-yard zone. But you know, you might be working with a guy that's brand new that missed it. That we may have seen a first touching, and we need to come up and be ready to address it. We're going to officiate with a whistle out of our mouth, because what happens is the whistle's in our mouth right now and all the crazy stuff's happening. We're ready to blow it. And that's when we really do literally blow the game. Don't keep that whistle in your mouth. Open your vision when you're watching, okay? You've got literally 22 players flying at each other at very good distances. Open your vision so you can see what's happening. Don't ball hawk. Okay, if it's in your area, you'll follow that ball. If it's not in your area, then pick up the other people around you. We're really looking at pooch kicks that travel. Did it travel 10 yards? Did it strike the ground? Are we going to have that circumstance where at that point, who's going to recover? If it does, they can't advance it as far as the receiving team, or I'm sorry, the kicking team can't advance it, but the receivers could. So you have to be talking to yourself. I got white on receiving. I got blue on kicking. You got to know who's who, because things get a little hairy there, okay? So muffs, the kickers can't advance. You're going to be looking at low blocks from where you are. You're in a good position to see low blocks. Kicks out of bounds. Who touched it, if anyone? Okay, do we have a penalty, or do we have receivers ball 1st and 10 from where they touched it and it went out of bounds? Do you have first touching? And you're going to be responsible for forward progress as they're advancing as well, because in a 5-man crew, there's going to be no one deeper than you. Okay, so we're in a good position for forward progress. Okay, the previous slide we really talked about much of the same things, but more than anything, you got to have the checklist and know what can happen and be prepared to rule on it. Slow the game down in your head, because you might not know the perfect lingo that you have. Okay, you might have lost the word muff in your hand, so you might be explaining to the white hat, hey, the receiving guy tried to catch it, he dropped it, he didn't ever possess it, and then this guy got it. You might just have to verbally explain to him what happened, and that's okay too, okay? Scrimmage kick checklist. This is your punts, your extra points, your field goals, okay? Have the checklist, go through. My numbering, do we have any kind of numbering exceptions? Are we on 4th down? If we do have the numbering issues on the line where they don't need to have the 5 guys, 50 to 79, who are my eligibles? Because now I may have 7 guys across the line who all have eligible numbers. I got to know who can actually go out for a pass if this thing broke apart. Make sure you don't have too many men in the backfield. How many times do we see that last end guy kind of turn sideways so he gains an advantage for the blocking alignment for someone coming off the corner? Ensure that you have your eligible receivers. Look at the referee before moving sticks, because we're really spread out in this situation. So we may not see where flags are normally coming from, okay? And then anticipate, and the last one, they anticipate whether the ball's coming from your sideline. Don't be in such a hurry to get that football in that you stop officiating the game that's being played in front of you. I've seen film where the guy is literally getting a ball from the sideline and there's punches being thrown in front of him. Forget that for a moment. They can't play the game without the football. So it will come in. So just be aware of that as you move through, okay? Punts, okay, hold momentarily at the line to be sure the ball's crossed the neutral zone. Do not move too far down the field, recognizing that the back judge has likely taken the position on our side of the field, okay, because the line judge is going sooner. Get yourself in the best position to rule on action in front of the receiver, okay? Punts that go out of bounds versus punts that are rolling out of bounds. We handle that differently. If it rolls out of bounds, it hits and rolls out or bounces out, then we're just going to the spot that we saw it cross the sideline for our spot. If the ball flies out, remember, the referee is going to help us with that, because we're not going to just follow the ball with our eyes. We're watching action in front of us. We're going to go down beyond where we believed it went out, and we're going to come back up the field, and the referee is going to chop us in where they feel that it went out, okay? Field goals, okay? Field goals are tried for point. First thing on this, it's not on the screen. Communicate, or I guess it is on the screen in the bolds. Communicate with a crew member whether this is a field goal or a try. Critical that you know this is a live ball on a field goal, and on a try, if it's unsuccessful, it's going to be killed. Okay. When in doubt, do not blow your whistle. Let someone else do it. Okay. On those. Know ahead of time if your kicker is left or right footed. Okay. We'll get that information to you before the game. Stay on the line if you're looking at the back of the holder, because the referee is going to be looking at the face of them, and the referee will get the line judge's line if necessary. He'll get over there. You're going to have your side, so you're going to be facing that way. If you're if remaining on the line, you have the line of scrimmage, okay, for yourself, for alignment, motion, whether the ball crosses the neutral zone on the kick. You're responsible for the goal line. Come in and sell it. Whatever you've got, short or score, come in and sell it if there was a play that broke down, okay? After extra points, you're clear, this is an extra point, we're good, that kick is made, get in there to the middle of the field, okay, to help everyone just go back to their sidelines. And that's a wonderful opportunity to talk to your partners quickly about what's going on. Hey, everything good? Yeah, it's good. Hey, tell that lineman on the other side that he's getting real close to that neutral zone. We got to back him up a little bit. Perfect opportunity to do it, okay? And then you got your goalpost positioning. As you go through that, you're standing behind the post for a better view, right? Verbalizing with yourself and your partner that's back on the other post who our eligible receivers are in case this play broke down or it was a fake. And then if the play is broken or kicked or won't get kicked, get to your sideline and then to the goal line as soon as possible, knowing that you're going to have to get help on that. Okay, most of us aren't going to be able to get to that line to really help anybody else successfully on that. Okay. All right. Pre-snap checklists. Checklists are a big, important part of this game, guys. It makes your night much easier. All right. Go through your pre-snap checklist, down and distance, verbalize it. Count your players. Count your line and backfield players. Okay. Remember, in 2019, they changed the rule that the offense now has to have a minimum of 5 players on the line of scrimmage and a maximum of 4 players in the backfield. Okay, so just know that. Count your backfield. There's a little trick, and it's probably not right, but I know many of us do it. And if those of you that say you never do it are lying, is you'll look to see if your referee is counted 11. If your referee and your umpire have counted 11, and they got a confident 11 out there, I oftentimes will look there and I'll say, okay, I see 4 in the backfield, we're good. Look, that's just what happens when things are happening fast. We know it. Okay, Shortcuts sometimes have to be made when you're running, especially fast-paced offenses, okay? Know your differences, punch off your receivers. If there's 2 receivers out wide, okay, and they're off the line of scrimmage, you're gonna signal with 2. Use your mechanic books and communicate with your partners on that, okay? At the snap, read, tackle, back. Read your key, read your tackle, and then watch the back, okay? That's what you're gonna be looking at the snap, all right? I'm gonna go ahead and move through see if there was anything critical here. I know, guys, we're gonna try to keep you here just for an hour. So ultimately, we have some issues with pass plays. If anyone has any questions, let us know. If anyone wants a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, I'll be more than happy to send it to anyone that wants it. We have no issue with that whatsoever, okay? Parting thoughts, guys, things that I think if we all take into consideration, we're gonna be in much better shape, okay? As a linesman, prepare yourself to be the second referee on the field. Be the eyes and the ears for the referee when necessary, okay? Be confident in your rules knowledge. Know terminology to utilize when speaking with coaches. Study that sheet that has the differences between the NCAA rules and the National Federation. That is gold, okay? And you know, have ways to address that with coaches without embarrassing them, but maybe, you know, to explain the situation. Know your limitations. This is a big one. Don't get caught making something up. Get an answer and communicate it well. There are many times where something will happen on the field where you might sit there and think, wow, I have no idea what the penalty enforcement is. I have no idea what the coach's choices are here. I know he's going to have choices, and he's yelling to me, what is it? Run onto the field, listen, and then ask the question, hey, Larry, I have no idea what to tell the coach. What do I tell him on this? Okay, don't be afraid of that. Don't go back and make something up because you're going to get caught with that, okay? Get an answer, communicate it well. This is a big one. Maintain your credibility. Mistakes are made, guys. We all do it. If appropriate, own them. Hey, coach, I missed it. If it happened the way you just said, then I clearly missed that. I'm going to try to do better, okay? You can give it to them. Let them say it. It's all right. Remember, in a football stadium, guys, there's nobody within 40 yards of you, basically, that are in the crowd. And if the person in the crowd can't hear what he's saying to you, have a pretty thick skin. But also, when you're away from everyone else with that coach, you can have a discussion that, you know what, I'm a person in this community too, that you don't need to treat me like a child either, coach. I'm going to do the best I can. And you'll be surprised how many times these coaches look at you, especially if you're an upstanding member of your community, that they're going to look at you and say, you know what, yeah, I better tone it down. I don't know how my principal would react to me speaking to this person in this way, okay? And the most important thing that we do, the absolute most important, have a great time, okay? If it's no longer fun for you, or if you're making it where it's no longer fun for your partners, it's time to do something else. It's a Friday night, go do something else, because this is an avocation for the vast majority of us. We love going out there. We love our buddies that we're going to work with. We love going to Applebee's after and communicating what happened at the various games. This is a blast. If you've got that personality that you're always unhappy, you're always grumpy, you're not teaching, you're always thinking everybody else is putting one over on you, get out and go do something different, because this isn't for you. If you're a young guy and you see guys like that, don't become that. Have a blast, because there's nothing like officiating high school football if you do. All right. We want to really, I will, thank you on behalf of myself. I'm sure Larry's going to have something to say here too, and we'll field any questions, but thank you, and really have a great season. Larry?
All right, Shannon, could you go ahead and unshare for a moment, and then we can take some questions. I've also got some plays here that we can run and kind of show you some of the mechanics and some of the things that a linesman can do on the field. So if you want to stick around for that, that would be great. Do we have any questions?
We do have a couple of questions, Larry. We can do them now or after the video. What would you like to do?
Well, let me do the questions and let's just run a few videos. Yeah.
Great. Okay. First question is from Roy Holbeck. does your association require more than just the head linesman to brief the chain crew?
Well, I think I can answer that, and that is our association, our signer doesn't require us to do that. I think that the referee and the linesman are the ones that need to figure out how they're going to roll. I think the crew chief needs to take it upon himself to make sure everything is taken care of. If I've got a relatively inexperienced linesman out there, I might go over and hang out and talk to him. I think if there's the back judge, also we'll go over and find the ball boy, and he'll be dealing with that. So it's not bad to have more than one person over there, but the guy who really needs to create the report is that linesman.
Very good. Second from Roy Levin. It's got a question and a comment. So the question is, do you recommend dropping a beanbag when it is first and goal in the event that the box has to move to get out of the way?
That's a really good mechanic if you get in the habit of doing that. So what he's talking about is putting a beanbag where the box is, having that box drop up the beanbag where he's standing in case he gets moved by a run. I think that's what you're talking about, Roy. And that's not a bad mechanic at all. It's a great mechanic if you get in the habit of it. I think more than anything, the linesman needs to absolutely know where that box started from, and the box does too. Shannon, do you have something further?
I do, Larry. We skipped through some of the mechanics on this for purposes of time. I'm not as comfortable with it. I'll be honest with you. I don't do that. And the reason I don't do it, especially on a sideline inside the 5 like that, is we will oftentimes have plays at the end zone where a guy's going for the end zone and he drops the ball, or he does something that I may have to have a beanbag, and I know you could have 2, but I may have to have one that comes out. And to me, I like to talk to myself. It's 2nd and 3 from the 3. So I know we're going to be at the 3-yard line, and I'm also communicating that with my box. I don't like to put anything on the field or something that could be miscommunicated as you know, part of it, but it's certainly not bad. And I think if that's your habit and you're comfortable with it, I would certainly encourage it.
Yeah, I don't think you could ever go wrong doing it.
Yeah. And then Roy, just to give Roy some credit here for suggestion, he said he finds it very helpful to have a few zip ties with him. You know, he puts them on the inside of the sweatband of his hat, but he does keep a few zip ties with him because if the chain breaks, it does hold better than tape. So appreciate that suggestion, Roy. Thank you.
Most of our linesmen's heads are so big, there's no extra room inside of their hats, but
that's true.
Associations, that might work really well. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Very good.
All
right.
Is it time to go through a few plays? I mean,
yeah, we do. And
it's
a
whatever you want. I know
time right now, Larry.
Would that be okay?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah, go for it, Larry. While you get your stuff set up on your end as well, I just want to let everyone know, I don't know if you've seen in the chat box or not, I did mention to Fred that he can email the PowerPoint to me and everyone who attended. I can get a copy of the PowerPoint sent out to everyone who has attended tonight. So we can get that out to everybody. Just want to let everybody know that.
Thank you, Jeremy. All right, so we just got a few plays here. There's no, nothing too special about these, but I'm going to run it first, and then we'll talk about it. All right, let's do that again here real quick. Now, I think what we've got here is a really good wing official.
Larry, you're not sharing your screen. Oh, are you? No,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
apologies. You are. My
Okay,
apologies.
so what I think we've got is a good wing official down here with a good spot.
He does an excellent job of squaring it in as well.
And look at this. This is what Shannon's talking about. Look at the square here. Now look at the guy across the street over there. Hold on just a moment. Let me back it up just a shade. The bottom of our screen, we've got a nice square in and a really good spot. The guy on the opposite side is going to come in. He stops in. He's going to mirror him straight up. We've got this thing. He stopped a little bit short in the beginning, and then he mirrored him perfectly. No, never a problem there. I think that's great coverage. All right, so I think we got a good spot going here. This is something I'm going to play it live, and we'll see what happens. And if you watch this linesman at the very top, he is calm, cool, and collect. He just simply takes a step back, squares it up, gives it a good spot. So I'm going to roll it here. Look where the progress is. Boom. He was anticipating, the linesman was anticipating going downfield, needed to take a step back, squared it up, no problem. I think that's great coverage myself. All right, so let's play that one back again here real quick. Now watch both wings. Watch both wings. It's going to be very near the line to gain. The forward progress is. Boom. And they are mirroring each other and they know exactly where it is. No problem. That's a good move right there by two wing officials, in my opinion. All right, so now we got a little bit of a tricky play here. We got a pass that's going to go. Yeah, that's a backward pass. Oh, but now we've got a forward progress that we got to deal with. And now right here, I think we've got a problem. We've got a linesman down here at the bottom of the screen who I believe has the correct forward progress. And you've got a linesman at the top of the screen who's 5 yards off. They need to reconcile. This guy down here is the one that had the best look. This guy at the very top of your screen, he needs to get over here and mirror. Unless he is absolute, unless this guy at the top of the screen is just absolutely positive that he's got the best spot, and then he would need to come in here and sell it. He needs to reconcile and get himself back over here. Let's play that one over again because there was a lot going on there. Now let's look at this simply from his position right here. Backward pass. Progress. Squares it up, kills the clock. It's a great job, well done. This guy needs to reconcile, in my opinion. All right, not much there really, but just business as usual. We got a linesman that is doing a really good job over here. He's going to have a short field to work with, number one. He's got a bunch of people right behind him. He's going to let the runner get in front of him. Then he's not going to panic. He's going to come down here and get the spot. Look at the line to gain. He knows where the line to gain is as well. So this is just a really good, calm, cool, and collect move by that linesman. He steps back, lets the runner through. He's going to have the sideline behind him. He's got the sideline. He's got progress. He knows it's beyond the line to gain. Squares it up and kills it. Great job. All right, so here's here's an athlete right here. He's going to miss about 7 or 8 times, and we'll get through those fast before we get to what we really want to talk about here. One. Second guy misses. 3, 4, and 5 miss. 6 misses. All right, now we got to the officials. This guy at the bottom of our screen, this line judge, he's got this sideline. He's in a good position here for forward progress. And this is a 7-man crew. I need to back it up just a moment and say this is a 7-man crew. So he doesn't have to beat the guy to the side or to the goal line. He's not going to do that anyway. But we should have goal line coverage. We should have a deep wing down here somewhere. And I just don't see that deep wing yet. Where is that deep wing? Where is that deep wing? Where is he? Where is that deep wing? And there he is right here, outside, wide, at the goal line, waiting right where he's supposed to be. So I think that that's really good coverage right there with the 7-man crew. right, now here we're just going to talk about, on a try for point, we're going to get in there to break up the stuff that could be occurring. So let's watch the wings crash after this kick. There you go. They're getting in there, and you should be doing that every time, every time, every time. All right, that's what I had for my plays. Were there any other questions or any other comments?
I think there's no more questions, Larry. No.
All right.
There was one, are these playoff crews, i.e. very experienced guys, or just run-of-the-mill Friday night crews? I don't know if GNOA can answer if those were your crews or if that was just film you were able to get.
No, those are our regular season. That was our regular season crews.
Good. Any other questions? Please feel free to type them in now. I'll give a couple seconds for that. If not, gentlemen, I appreciate you coming back and hanging out with us again tonight. Thank you for everyone who joined us tonight. Appreciate you taking your time away from families and away from things that you do on weekdays. We do have a couple more sessions that we do have planned for the rest of June. One next Wednesday and the following Wednesday. It will be, the first one is or the one next week, I believe, is South of Gulf, or they might be the 24th. And then we have one the 24th as well. So we do have two. We also have one that GNOA is going to help out with. They spoke on that. It's going to be the 22nd of June for any new officials, 0 to 1 years of experience. So please, if you have any new individuals who are looking to get into officiating, Rob Mackett and his crew are going to discuss the 5 positions on the field in a very basic terminology, and in getting these newer officials on board. We know a lot of you are missing your own association meetings, so they volunteered to help out and kind of do this for the state. If you have anyone interested, Rob, if you want to speak any more on that, give a little more information on that. But those are the kind of things we have going on the rest of the month. July, I believe we're going to take a break. As we know, associations will hopefully be jumping into their own trainings and things like that. So we felt that we didn't want to take too much time away from individuals with their own local things that may be going on. So for the fall sports, July, we may be taking that month off depending on things, if things keep going a little more smoothly as they have been. So Rob, if you want to speak a little bit, or Shannon, or any of you guys want to speak a little bit on what we have planned for the 22nd, feel free.
Yeah, regarding what we're doing on the 22nd is for basically brand new officials. So please get this out to all your associations across the state, okay, that we are going to be doing something strictly for brand new officials, those that have never officiated before. If you have people that have limited experience last year and have just completed their first year, that's great. We're going to try to whet their appetite on the 5 positions on the field and make them feel good about what they're getting into. And so get it out to everybody, please.
Awesome. I do not see any more questions. Larry, Shannon, if you have any, Fred, if you have anything else.
Yeah, sorry, Jeremy. There was one, and maybe Brian just answered it actually, but Ezuan Mathis was asking where you can find all the recordings for these sessions. And I think Brian Wild just put the YouTube link up there, but is there an alternate way, or is YouTube the best option?
I've actually been posting them on the FHSA Central Hub under the sports tab. So if you go to FHSA Central Hub, you will be able to find the links from the previous sessions. And then once the remaining sessions finish, they'll be posted within 24 hours or so. I usually try to do it that same night, but for sure by that next day, they are posted.
Thank you,
Perfect.
Jeremy.
Well, I think if we don't have any more questions, it's probably time to terminate this. I'll have one parting thought, and I've never seen Rob Mackett look more alert and lively as I do right now.
I don't know what happened to my video, but anyway,
No, he doesn't realize his hand is frozen in front of his video.
no.
Oh, there we
All
go.
right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, again for joining us tonight. Thank you, everyone, for taking part. Hopefully, everyone is safe and well. And we'll be back at it next week. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.